Today on the Gem Cutters Craft, we're at the Tucson Gem Show, and we're here with the manufacturer of the Fralap, and he's going to give us a demonstration of this French Jambpeg style machine.
Hello everybody. So my name is Antoine Teixeira, and I created one machine. I recreated one machine to facet stones like 3 years ago during COVID time. That was a great period to do. It's not my job, so it's kind of hobby for me. I am geologist. I worked a bit everywhere in the world. At the moment I work in Canada, up north of Fairmont, for people who knows. And so I'm gonna talk about my machine. So mainly I started to do this machine because I learned how to do some fasting about 10 years ago with Jean-Marie Lamouret. It was with a machine called Adelap. It was an expensive machine at this time, and I didn't have the money to buy it, so I stopped. And after 10 years after, I say, well, I want to do facet something. And I say, okay, I can't buy the machine anymore. I can't find anywhere else in the world. So I recreated a machine according to the plans of the invention, so the Jambpeg invention in French, and mechanical stick, and I changed some little things to make it cheaper because it was still in my mind to have a machine made in France but cheap, like for everybody can use it, can buy it.
Because normally these are pretty expensive, right? Like the traditional ones that the cutters in France are using, I think.
There is still a lot of cutters in France, like professional cutters, like for big companies like Cartier, Piat, Gros Piron. They still have some machine, but it's like old machine. It's like super old from back 60, 40, 80 years ago. And they still have these kind of things, but it's like completely deformed. And for the big companies, they have their own plan, and when they want to redo it, they just go to a mechanical engineers and ask, okay, can you do it again?
We talked to a lot of the gem cutters in Paris this year, and a lot of them were telling us, like, when these things get so worn out that they can't use them anymore, they don't know where to get new ones because nobody in France makes them anymore because it's just sort of a dying industry. The manufacturing of the machines is like a dead thing. So when I heard about him doing this, I was like, oh, maybe this is what everybody's been looking for, at least for this part. Because a lot of the ones in Paris, they're working on big benches, right? It's like really industrial benches, but they still need these Evention Jambpeg heads. So this is kind of cool that there's a new person that's making them and manufacturing
At the
them.
moment, half of my clients are like professionals. Either they have like broken invention, broken mechanical stick, and they want to change it. Sometimes I'm selling like 5, 6 of them for the entire workshop. And half of the other people are like lapidarists as us for hobby. Mm-hmm. But one of the main difference between this machine or this type of machine, you can learn this type of machine like in 3 days, something like that, or a little week, by following diagrams and by following angles. But for this one, you need to do everything in your mind, which is much more complicated. And I learned it in 2 weeks, but some people just are not able to get it. Yeah. Because you need to be able to have the 3D imagination, I don't know what to say, in your mind, and you need to do, and you can do a lot of shapes. After it's only about your mind, how you are able to put the face and to play with angles.
So maybe show us a little bit, like show us how the stick works, because I think for anybody who's fascinated from American style, they can kind of have an idea about it.
Basically, you have stick, you put some wax, and you put the stone. You have the mechanical stick, and basically you change. So you have 8 face, it's 8, because I have like 2 types. So you can change the angle by changing the face, and after you have some little cran. How do you say that in English? You can change, collet maybe. And you have different type of division, and you have here the subdivision. So I'm gonna show you. You can look at it. You can play with it if you want to see. I have another one here if you
So
want.
basically, it's 8 sides, but then with that divisor, you can
Yes.
get basically 64 out of it.
64, yeah.
So
32 and 64.
So then, I think what it ends up being is the way that you imagine your designs being executed is not the same as on for us. You know, with a 96, you can just do everything wherever you want to be. But this one's always going to be based around the outline 8. So then you have to kind of imagine, you know, that your brake facets are going to get cut in 2 different sets because the index gear has to change to do that. So the process is slightly different, but the end result hopefully is the same.
Depend of your brain.
Yeah, depending on the cutter.
So somebody.
I think there's going to be some relearning to do because, you know, like for us, if we want to go do the brakes on a round brilliant, main number +2, -2, but this one, you're going to go +2 and do all the left sides, 8 left sides, and then do -2 and do 8 right sides because everything has to be in sets of 8. So there is some translation happening, I think, between the 2 systems. But have you ever cut on a mass machine before?
Like that?
No,
Not
like
like
a Ultratech or something.
No.
Never did. Okay, you've done this one before?
No.
So this is your only okay.
Yes, that's my only.
So my job is to
I can't
translate.
compare.
My job is to translate the idea of the Jambpeg, the French Jambpeg, to the American. I think one thing that you didn't say that is important. Well, he sort of said it. Most of the gemstones cut in the world are cut on a machine exactly like this.
In India, Pakistan,
France, Sri
Lanka.
Lanka. No.
Sri Lanka, they have this kind of things.
but
It depends what
Thailand,
types.
Thailand.
But usually it's not that sophisticated. It's like usually it's a bit more artisanal, but it's kind of
But yeah,
the same.
People have been doing this since like the early 1800s, and with this style, with the mechanical stick, since about the 1880s.
So I can show you the invention also. Be simple. So there is one. So you've got some holes. You put the stick on the hole, and you with the flat here you come here, and that makes your angle. When you want to change it, you do like that. And you have one sheeter here. How can I do that? As a demonstration. You sheet on the right and you sheet on the left.
So for this one, the cheater basically just tilts the whole head.
Yeah.
As opposed to, for us, it changes the index gear usually, but this one, the entire...
And
because it wants to change this plate to... That's the cheat, actually, is left and right.
And you have one other cheater here for the vertical cheater, so you can go up, down. Usually, if you want to change vertically, you change a number of all. After some professional in Paris doesn't like my 40 holes, they want only 15 because they say that's enough. And they want to have it more space, but after that, this plate, we can change it relatively easily.
So do you think like, if somebody gets trained with a certain number of holes, they get really comfortable with that, they don't like to change?
Well, on the whole invention, even the numbers are not there anymore. So they just get used to, and they want to go up and down by 2 or 3 holes, that's all. That's all they need to know. Yeah, it's
because probably the holes wear out before anything else, right?
The brass is a bit. I don't know if it's brass. It was. Yeah. The brass is a bit harder than the aluminium. So if you put the aluminium inside the hole, you will not destroy it. You will not do anything. Yes, put it like that. You can change it. You have some on the plate. What else? Usually when you cut, that's important. You fix it, you don't move, and when you polish, you take it off, and you can move a little bit. That's something important. That's something I was thinking on this machine doesn't work. You can't. You're obliged to leave it like free, which is not a good thing. So from the electric parts, it's working 24 volt. It's a 200 watt. What? 200 watt engine. Engine is there. You have on off. You can change the direction. Usually you turn like that. Distance. This nut. Okay. It's opposite way. So when you turn on the right way, it can't go off. Basically, it's really important because we change disc relatively often. So that's over. When you want to take it off, that's over.
And so for this one, you can use all the same American laps for
Yes,
6-inch.
it's 6-inch. Because it needs to be like for hobby, so I didn't want to do, because that's $100, 120, I don't remember. If you go by 8-inch, it's more expensive, so always same thing. Usually I use 600 or 1,200, and after I use a tin lap for like bat lap or something like that, the equivalent. And or LED lap also, it's working. And
Maybe talk about this bit, because this is something
yes,
unique
okay.
for this machine.
So when you're like that, put it like that. You put your stone. I don't have the stone, but anyway. And you want to do the preforming. So either if it's a round, an emerald cut, or whatever other shapes, you use it like that, and you adjust what we call the preforming. In French, it's called tas de préformage, and you preform like that.
And so if you want to do a round, how do you do it on there?
So you start to do a square, and after you do the corner, you got the hexagon.
In between.
Yes, and you go in between, until it's almost good by eyes, and after you can polish a bit like that.
Just spin it. Okay.
That's all.
So it's a little bit of a step. And then what about if you're going to do like an oval shape? You have to just do a freehand, right? There's not a...
You can do, like, if you want to do oval. So you start to do a rectangular form, and after you cut a bit the corner, and after you go divide a bit also, until you have like oval.
Okay.
If you want to do a pier, same thing. You start with a rectangle. And
so there's a pretty systematic approach. It's not just
exactly.
For you. It's not just freehand.
No, it's
shaping.
not freehand. You use that all the time. Okay. I'm designing a preforming tool to go on this machine using the tar, but it's a prototype at the moment, so I didn't bring it.
And then maybe talk about, because I was asking him yesterday, how do you do the table? Because in France, a lot of times you'll see they've got this Evention Jambpeg head here, and then there's another one over here that just, all it does is hold the stick straight up and down to do the table. And he didn't have it, so I said, oh, how do you do the table on this one? And he has a good way.
You take a stone, you do the table, you polish, you cut. Usually for the table, you go, even if you have like 3,000 grain, it's easier after to polish the table. And you put the table on this side, and you're going to glue it like that. And you finish by put the table very, perpendicular to the stick, and you glue it, you finish it like that. When it's glued, after you can put on the...
So basically the table will automatically be straight up because you use that alignment thing. So
after you need to align your stone according to the shape you want to do. It's everything by eyes. And after...
So that would be a very different way than the American style, because usually for Americans you're doing the table as the last step, and you can bring the table in and meet all the facets. And this way, you're going to do the other way. You're going to make all the facets meet the table.
Why it's important to do the table at the beginning?
Well, you can see what's on the inside.
Yes, exact. Exact. If you have some inclusion and you want to put it on the crown, it's easy. You can adjust your crown according to what's inside, and you can cover a bit everything. That's how they were doing it in the past. That's how we do it. So you do the table, and after you do your crown, and after you glue the back of the stone. And yes, it's pretty much that. Here the water table for the container. Usually, if you're good, with a bit of experience, relatively like 2 carat stones, 1 liter it's enough. you can recuperate 1 liter of water here. So it's made for like an apartment. You don't need to have something.
So basically, once that fills up, you're going to go dump it out?
Yes, and here it's empty.
Okay. So you got a very specific idea in mind about how to, yeah.
And that's all. That's all you need. After, I guess you know all the wax story to put it on the stick. So it's an aluminum stick. You need to heat the stick a bit before putting the wax. If not, it doesn't
So
glue.
Question on the drain. Is it possible to attach a hose below it so it can drain into another?
You can do a hole here, and you can. It's not after you can do what you want. It's
Some fasteners forget how much water is in the drain pan, and you're listening to music while you're
well,
whatever.
the story is if you need to re-put some water here, that means it's full. Yeah.
Point being is that the water might get to the level of the bearings.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a risk.
The bearings here, a lot of engineering stuff on that because I was not prepared for that. Basically, so it's like a double. The water can't go inside. You can unscrew everything below. You've got a screw. Yeah. So you've got the belt. You've got the reduction, and you've got like 2 bolts who hold the entire axe with 2 it's angle bearing. It's with angle, so one with an angle like that on the top and one with an angle like that on the bottom, and I screwed everything. It's like on the car basically. In Europe we have this system. And so you can put, if you want to make some mechanics inside, you can take off everything, put some oil or whatever, grease or something, and we can restart.
So you want to try and cut something? Just to
So
give
we
us a visual?
can, yes, I can start to do something for you.
Thanks for watching, and check out the next video where he demonstrates the cutting process on this unique French machine. See you next time on the Gem Cutter's Craft.